What's up guys, Saulius, I'm back. Yes, we're going to be reacting videos about was best possible choice you can make in the Walking Dead New Frontal, also known as Seasons Flee. I never played this one, but I'm going to save up. I'm sorry, man. We know you like this game and Walking Dead, but too bad this was largest gigabyte. I'd rather play a random game, something else, and I'm going to try this one, okay? This was made by Every Nuts. So we're going to put these and these. So yeah, this will be 11 videos. Okay, almost 12 minutes. This will be 11 minutes video. So let's begin.
Choose whether your family keeps moving or stays overnight in a trailer. Alright, walkers, let's talk about one of those choices in The Walking Dead. A new frontier that honestly had me staring at my screen for way too long. You know the one. Do you keep pushing forward with your exhausted family, or do you take shelter for the night in what's basically a zombie apocalypse motel? Both options have their vibes, but let me break down why one might actually be the move. So here's the tea. If you choose to keep moving, you're basically that friend who insists on driving through the night instead of stopping at a sketchy rest stop. Javi's being the responsible older brother, thinking about everyone's safety and not wanting to get caught with their pants down when the sun comes up. The family's tired, sure, but there's something to be said for putting distance between yourselves and whatever fresh hell you just escaped from. Plus, Kate seems to respect this decision more because it shows you prioritizing the group's survival over comfort.
Definitely cool
On the flip
video.
side, staying the night gives you that cozy post-apocalyptic family bonding time that honestly hits different. Everyone gets some much-needed rest, and you have this intimate conversation with Kate, where she opens up more about her feelings and the whole messy situation with David. It's giving main character energy, because you're taking charge and saying, nah, we need to recharge before we face whatever's next. The trailer becomes this little bubble of safety where real talk happens. But here's where it gets interesting. No matter what you choose, you're still going to face those armed dudes who are absolutely not here to chat about the weather. The game's basically saying, cute, you thought your choice mattered for the big picture, which is both frustrating and kind of realistic for a Walking Dead story. Whether you're well-rested or running on fumes, trouble finds you anyway, because that's just how this world works. The real difference is in the character development and relationship building. Staying the night gives you more emotional weight with Kate, and shows a different side of Javi's leadership style. He's willing to take calculated risks for his family's well-being, which honestly makes him more human and relatable. Meanwhile, keeping moving shows he's learned from past mistakes and won't let his guard down, even when everyone's exhausted. From a pure strategy standpoint though, staying put is probably the better call. Your group performs better when they're not completely drained, and that extra rest could be the difference between making smart decisions and panic choices when things inevitably go sideways. Plus, Kate's reaction to this choice adds layers to their relationship that pay off later in the season. The developers knew what they were doing with this one because both choices feel valid, depending on your headspace. Are you the type who thinks rest is earned, or the type who thinks safety is found in constant movement? Neither approach is wrong in the apocalypse, but the staying choice gives you more story content and character development, which is ultimately why we're here. So yeah, while both paths lead to the same dramatic confrontation, staying the night at the junkyard is probably the move if you want maximum emotional impact and character growth. Sometimes taking a moment to breathe and connect with your people is worth the risk, even when the world's gone to hell. Next, cover for Clementine or tell the truth about an accident. When Clementine shoots an arms dealer, you either lie to protect her or admit it was an accident. This influences your standing with the residents of Prescott and your interaction with Eleanor. There's only one correct choice here. You cover for Clementine, no questions asked. Let me explain why telling the truth is actually the worst possible move you could make in this situation. First off, let's set the scene. Clementine just accidentally shot Eli the arms dealer, and now everyone in Prescott is looking at your group like you're the problem. The tension is real, people are heated, and you've got seconds to decide whether you're going to throw a literal child under the bus or step up and take responsibility. This isn't even a moral dilemma. It's a test of whether you understand how survival works in this world. Let's be real about the family's storyline argument too. Your family is going to be fine without you for a few hours. They're adults who survived the apocalypse this long, and they're heading to a settlement with walls and protection. Meanwhile, Clementine is a teenager facing armed enemies with no backup plan. The urgency levels aren't even comparable. And choosing the less urgent situation just because it involves blood relatives is weak storytelling and weaker character development. The fight sequence itself is also way more engaging and meaningful when you're fighting alongside Clementine. From a strategic standpoint, staying also shows the other characters that you're not just another fair-weather ally who bails when things get tough. Word gets around in the apocalypse, and having a reputation as someone who sticks with their people no matter what is invaluable. Next, side with or against David. Early in episode 5, you can choose to rekindle or keep distance with David. Standing with David allows you to save him later, while antagonizing him causes hostility and prevents his survival. Here's where everyone gets it wrong. You absolutely need to side with David, and it's not even close. I know he's been a massive pain throughout the entire season, but this choice isn't about whether you like your brother or not. It's about understanding that family loyalty and survival strategy align perfectly here, and going against David is literally choosing the path that gets him killed. First, the obvious. David is your blood. He's the father of your nephew and niece, and despite all his flaws and toxic behavior, he's still family. But more importantly than the sentimental stuff, David is also a trained soldier with combat experience and leadership skills that your group desperately needs. You're in the middle of a war zone facing the new frontier, and having someone with military training on your side isn't just helpful, it's essential for survival. The thing about David that people don't want to admit is that most of his anger and hostility comes from feeling betrayed and abandoned. When you side with him, you're giving him the chance to remember who he used to be before the world went to hell. You're acknowledging that despite everything that's happened between you two, you still see him as your brother, and you're willing to fight alongside him. That recognition actually brings out the better parts of his personality and makes him way more effective as an ally. Standing against David at this point is just petty and short-sighted. Yeah, he's done some questionable things and his relationship with Kate has been complicated, but holding grudges in the apocalypse is how you get people killed. This choice literally determines whether David lives or dies later in the season. If you've been supportive and rebuilt that brotherly bond, you get the option to save his life when things go sideways. But if you've been hostile and kept your distance, that option disappears and he dies, no matter what you do. That's not just a gameplay consequence. That's the story telling you that relationships and loyalty matter more than personal grievances. Siding with David shows that Javi has matured beyond the petty family rivalries that defined their relationship before the apocalypse. He's learned that survival means putting the group's needs above personal feelings, and that sometimes being the bigger person is what leadership actually looks like. It's a moment that defines who Javi has become versus who he used to be. From Kate's perspective, she actually respects this choice more than people realize. She doesn't want you to choose David over her, but she does want to see that you're capable of forgiveness and that you can work with difficult people when it matters. Showing that you can rebuild a relationship with your brother demonstrates emotional maturity that makes you a better partner and leader overall. You're not condoning everything he's done. You're choosing to focus on moving forward instead of staying stuck in past conflicts. This is what real leadership looks like. Making the hard choice to work with people you have issues with, because the alternative is watching them die. Side with David and save his life? Anything else is just ego getting in the way of survival. Next, fight back or avoid fighting David. When David attacks Javier, you can choose to fight back or show pacifism. Only by avoiding violence can David survive and influence later events. This is the moment that separates the smart players from the ones who let their emotions ruin everything. You do not fight back against David, period. I don't care how satisfying it might feel to deck your brother after all the drama he's caused. Fighting back is literally signing his death warrant, and anyone who chooses violence here is throwing away everything they've worked toward all season. Here's the brutal truth. David is having a complete mental breakdown. The man has lost his family, his position, his sense of control, and now he's lashing out because he doesn't know how else to process the trauma. When someone is in that headspace, meeting violence with violence doesn't solve anything. It just escalates the situation until someone ends up dead, and spoiler alert, that someone is David if you choose to fight him. The pacifist route isn't about being weak or letting David walk all over you. It's about being the bigger person and recognizing that your brother needs help, not another enemy. When you refuse to fight back, you're showing David that despite everything he's done, you're not going to abandon him when he's at his lowest point. That gesture cuts through his rage and reminds him that you're still family, even when everything else has fallen apart. Think about what fighting back actually accomplishes. Absolutely nothing positive. Meanwhile, the people around you see that when push comes to shove, you're willing to beat up your own brother instead of de-escalating the situation. The character development from choosing pacifism is incredible too. It shows that Javi has learned from all the violence and loss throughout the season. He's grown beyond the person who would solve problems with his fists, and he's become someone who understands that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is refuse to fight. That growth is what makes him worthy of being the group's leader and what separates him from all the other hotheads who don't survive in this world. Keeping David alive means keeping someone with military training and combat experience in your corner. The guy might be unstable right now, but he's still one of the most capable fighters you've got. In the zombie apocalypse, you can't afford to lose people with his skill set just because your feelings got hurt. The ripple effects of this choice are massive too. When David survives, he can influence later events and actually become a valuable ally once he gets his head straight. But if he dies here, that's it. Game over for any potential redemption arc or family reconciliation. You're basically choosing between a temporary moment of satisfaction and the long-term survival of your brother and your family unit. Kate's reaction to this choice also matters way more than people realize. She doesn't want to see you turn into another violent person who solves problems with aggression. When you choose restraint over retaliation, you're proving that you're different from David and that you can be trusted not to let anger control your decisions. That's the kind of emotional maturity that makes relationships work in high-stress situations. And we are done. Let me know in the comments which options you picked. Also, let me know if you want me to cover any other game and its choices. I'm gonna see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for He said thanks for watching and that's it. Alright, we finished the video. Oh my gosh, this was so boring. Bottega was finished. I'm sorry the video was good, but that was so terrible. I'm sorry this was not good. I'm sorry I never liked that video. It's so boring. I'm not expecting this would be good, but nope, it keeps getting bored. I hate this in Walking Dead. You have to listen to or you have to react. This would be boring. Longest minute ever made. This was so boring. So you know, God, dude, we're going to end video. So I will say goodbye, Saulius, and see you tomorrow. Bye.